February 20, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It was kind of a sideways consolidation in the pre-market, and then there was this big sell-off, bounce, did a bunch of legs. Looks like it just kind of moved sideways for the majority of the day, and it did kind of do a very slow and gradual rally up into the close. This is how I drew up the charts today. I tried to make this into a channel because I was playing with this for a little while, thinking it might be something, but no setups really utilized this down channel. And I did try to make it not even a down channel, but this down trend line. Try to make it into a channel, but it didn't really quite fit. So it didn't really help in the end. And then the volume was a little higher than it was yesterday. For the last few days, I had taken no trades. So I did take a trade yesterday. Didn't take a trade the day before, which is Tuesday, and then this is Monday, which is a holiday. So it was really slow going. Today was a little bit better, but I didn't really see that many setups. I did manage to take 2 trades and was profitable, but I kind of marked them here. And then other than that, I didn't really see that many setups. You could tell that the majority of the time, I would say from probably around 7 o'clock Pacific Standard, was trading all the way till about the last hour in about a 25-point range, but it was just kind of meandering all the way through. So didn't provide too many setups, and yeah, I'm just gonna go through the trades right now. The only economic data that came out was at 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here, which is the unemployment claims. It didn't really move the market all that much, and then there was a little bit smaller, I guess, news items that came out, but they weren't really market moving at all. Pre-market, it just kind of chops sideways. Continues on the open. It's very muted, very quiet on the open. You can tell because this is gray to white. This is from overnight to regular trading hours. And these candles, you can tell by this little R value, it's about 2 points. And it's just kind of moving sideways, not doing much. Then it looked like it was in a trading range here, then another trading range. I didn't really see any good second entry setups, plus no good context. I had this kind of this way for a little while, and it didn't really set anything up. Then it sold off. EMA is starting to hold prices down, but there was no setup here because it made 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, triple test. But triple test to go long feels dicey because it was kind of bullish bias here and then bearish bias here in this bigger trading, in this, well, relatively small trading range. This is what you see in real time. It starts moving down. I don't have this trend line drawn, but as I said, in the end, it didn't really matter. Didn't really have any setups available. Pushes down, makes a new low. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. It's not a good signal bar. It's too tight of trading congestion all around. Kind of pushes down again. It's a first entry short, second entry short. This second entry short, this is a signal bar, it's inside bar. It's not really bouncing off of any other key entry point. I found this yellow down channel a little later because I was playing with something closer to this at one point, and it just didn't really fit that well. And then later evolved into this yellow down channel. But in this point in time where my cursor is, I don't see that. I don't really have this yellow down channel drawn. Pushes down. So by this time, I do draw this top support, actually this top resistance of this yellow down channel as a trend line, and I made it into a channel. I thought it could be playing something off of this. Didn't really take the swing highs, but it fits pretty well. Unfortunately, this big move down was very nice and organized, but I didn't see any, well, for me, any safe ways to try to take this. It was a new low here. It's a first entry short. Second entry short, as it says, inside bar, moves down. You only get a first entry, and it kind of keeps going down. During this entire move, I'm not thinking of going long because it's just clearly a bearish bias, and to pick a low feels risky where the momentum and pretty much the entire bias of the market is to sell it off. So it kind of comes out, breaks out of this yellow down channel, makes a first entry short, pushes up. You kind of get a second entry short here, but it feels so far away. It's above the EMA. I don't really like it. I was thinking, is there a possible lower high forming here, right here? What I liked about this was it made a triple touch. So came to the same high, came to the same high, came to the same high. And this one closed very strongly bearish. It's only a 8-tick candle or 2 points. And there is enough room for a quick 1-point scalp. But I wasn't too sure because I wasn't sure if I was still floating inside this green up channel. So I was thinking there's a possibility it could still bump up. Ends up working, but that's neither here nor there because in real time I saw it, but I did feel confident enough to take it because from the way I drew my green up channel, it hadn't broken out yet. So I'm looking for now a lower high below the EMA to try to jump in on this setup. Unfortunately, you don't really get it. You get this lower high, but then these guys are lower than this guy, but you wait for this one to close. It's inside bar, it's just side by side. It's a bearish candle, but it's bullish bearish. In other words, it closes at the high, so I don't know what to do with that. I wait again, and it creates kind of a mirror image candle. So now I'm just abandoning thinking of taking a setup at this point because I clearly don't have a good feel which way it's going to go. It oscillates, it just kind of moves in this trading range, and it starts pushing back up. You do have a localized new low here. You have a first entry short, pull back. You have a second entry short, bad signal bar. You're not going to take that above the EMA with a terrible signal bar like that. It kind of moves up. I think it's moving up along this green up channel. And I was thinking, okay, there's a break of this yellow. It's one leg up, potential second leg up, cleared the measured move. Is it coming back down? So I'm not really sure, but I'm thinking there's going to be another big leg to correspond and match to this big leg. But I had to be sure. I want to see it break below the EMA. So it goes down and pushes first entry long, and then it creates a second entry long. So here, I was watching this in real time. There's two legs up already. I'm thinking potentially there should be a leg down now. And so I'm just watching and waiting. I'm going to admit this one was a little bit of an aggressive break. I saw this break of this green up channel has broken, tested the highs, coming back down, pushes through the EMA, but it recovers it pretty quickly. And then up until this point, it looks like the EMA is starting to hold support. So first entry long, pull back. It creates a second entry long. Now, the second entry long technically has kind of failed because it broke above and came back down, but I like that it closed back up toward the high. I also saw a new low. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short's made here. Second entry short fails. So I had a belief or a hunch that it was going to push up again. And I like that this candle is only this is only like an 8-tick candle. So I waited for the next one and it closed very bearish. So now it's really tightening in, right? So I'm watching. I enter after this candle opens and it pushes above. I drop mine, try to reduce the risk because this is only a 6-tick candle. And I knew my stop's probably going to be down here. So my entry is 61.2350. My stop's down here is 61.2125. So I'm risking about 2.25 points. Excuse me. So I thought it was enough because I like the way this closed. I entered and immediately it flushes up. I get my 1-point scalp. I move my runner from 1 tick below up to 1 tick above the entry right here. It pushes up and actually hits my profit target before I even got a chance to move my runner up to here. So wasn't able to trail the runner up, but as you can see, I think one of these candles would have likely stopped out my runner anyways and stopped it out probably down here. So it was actually pretty good that I got hit when I did. Then prices continue moving down. This blue line doesn't exist yet because it shows up later when I thought there was some kind of trading range. Same thing for this bottom blue line. So it's a first entry long, second entry long. It's a bad signal bar. It's kind of inside, just kind of floating out in the middle of nowhere. I did see this as a push down on the red channel. Now there's a break of this red channel and it's starting to push back down. There's a new high here. Technically a new high is here, but I reset the count here because there's just two double tops here. So I counted this as a visual first entry long, pull back, second entry long. Second entry long with a second entry long failure that's about to occur. So it technically hasn't failed yet, but I believe that this is probably going to fail. It is, EMA is having a rejection. It's a good signal bar, and there's enough room to the lows. I didn't really feel confident in the read because I wanted this candle to ideally break below this one or this one not to have that tail. So I sat it out and I had a hunch and it worked. Pushes down, moves down on this yellow down channel. No clean second entries. You do have a new low, first entry short. You technically would have a second entry short here, but it's running into a potential support area. No trade there. Pushes down. You have a double bottom, first entry short, and it kind of keeps moving down again. This is where I kind of drew this blue line, where I thought, okay, maybe there's some kind of resistance being respected here. moves down on this yellow down channel, breaks above, first entry short, second entry short, it's a bad signal bar to go short on, pushes up, breaks. You only have a first entry long, pushes up again. You technically have a new low here. You could say it's a first entry short, second entry short, bad signal bar, way above the EMA. In real time, I wasn't sure if this is actually going to create a break of this orange up channel, or is it going to bounce and keep moving up? It did break and it started pushing down. No entries, unfortunately. New low, it's a first entry short, second entry short, it's a bad signal bar, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. The follow through trigger bar isn't very convincing, so you're just sitting on your hands, which is up. At this point, I do draw this trend line coming down. So it looks like it has good confirmation, but I couldn't really turn it into a channel. So I was looking for if there's a really fantastic setup and it actually rejects off of this downtrend line, this downward trend line, then I thought it would be good to use it as another key entry point. But unfortunately, nothing really sets up for me. Pushes down, it's a new high, it's first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long. You do have a triple test, but this is an inside bar. I'm not feeling super confident. If this one had pushed up and engulfed this one, there'd be a little bit better case, but you do have a triple test. You could have taken it if you're a little more aggressive, and it pushes up. By the time this one closes, I felt like the trade was too late. I didn't want to chase this. And if I did want to chase it, I'd put it one tick below, one tick above this guy. But I'm also thinking there's a break of this orange up channel, might hit the EMA and might reject to test the new low. In this case, it would have worked. Kind of keeps pushing. Right now, this blue trend line going down does fit nicely. Unfortunately, there's no setup that I could really like. You do have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. You could claim this is a lower high on market. It's a good signal bar. Actually, in hindsight, maybe it would have been worth a trade. It is a little bit bigger though. It's about 13 ticks, but potentially a trade here. You'd have to be pretty confident on your read and trust this trend line moving down a lot. Hits the bottom, kind of reverses back up. First entry short, second entry short, nothing really here. It's really only first entries. This is consolidation area. New high, first entry long makes another new high, pushes down. It looks like it's moving down on this green down channel as a break and tests the low. I was playing with the idea that potentially this is all part of one leg. Actually, let me just go ahead and adjust this green one. I was playing with the idea that potentially this is all one leg. It kind of fits, but I wasn't too keen on it's really far, until your next confirmation, until your third confirmation. So I kind of played it this way. Break, tested the new low. Keep in mind that the other channel also looked right and also saw it as one leg, pull back, second measured leg down. Pushes up, so it's a first entry long, pull back, second entry long. Second entry long creates a higher low. Now I took this trade and it is a bit aggressive because it's clearly two legs down. Now, what if I was actually trading it this way? In this instance, it was also a break here and a test of the low. So in both cases, like two legs down, the first one, or this one big leg down, break, test of the low. Looks like it's reversing. I like the signal bar close. I'll admit it's a little aggressive. The green, however you drew it, whether it's tested low or not, I feel like it's starting to reverse. So I like the signal bar. I enter at the close, at the high of this, which is at the close. My risk was way down here. Actually, I kept it larger than I should have. I kept it down here, but when this one formed, I was debating whether it's going to work out. Then it kind of formed a more neutral candle. I moved my tick from here down to below this one just to reduce the risk. And fortunately, it flushed up and I was able to get my scalp. In hindsight, I think this is probably a trade not worth, but a trade that should have just skipped. It wasn't really worth it. I moved my runner from the stop one tick below here to one tick above my entry, and it got stopped out. So it was a second trade. Second trade isn't as good. Pushes down. First entry long, second entry long, second entry long, bad signal bar below the EMA, leaving it alone. Kind of chops around. Again, you only have first entries. Pushes up on this, what I think is a yellow up channel, but it doesn't fit too well at the top side. But it doesn't really matter because I don't really see any setups. It comes back down. This is kind of where I established this blue line. I thought, okay, there's one touch, two touch. And the difficulty of today was it's clearly moving sideways, but I couldn't find really strong, consistent highs and consistent lows, except for maybe this one where it touched 3 times. But by the time I recognized it, it kind of moved too far. So I was waiting for prices to come back down, maybe touch it a fourth time and look for a long opportunity. But on the high side, there was just there was this consolidation area where I thought this might be a resistance, potentially a trading range here, but it didn't fit quite well. Then I drew this guy, which only has one, two touches really. So it made the day a little bit more challenging, made me a little more cautious, especially when I just barely skipped by with this trade, then pushes up. I draw this transparent channel. Well, not yet, until it gets to about right here. It pushes up. It's a new high, first entry long, but it's also a new low way down here. Technically, I have a first entry short, but I just kind of called it the start here because this is actually the start of the big move. So I said first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short, I considered kind of an almost trade because it's a break of the screen up channel. It's a first attempt up and it tests the high. So am I coming back down? When you see this, I'm not 100% sure because it's really choppy. I don't even know if I'm really in a range. Should I be treating this as a failed breakout with a potential push back down? I'm not sure. It looks like it's counter trend to the overall bias at the moment. The signal bar here is exactly 10 ticks. Now, when I saw this, I was thinking I just look for a lower high confirmation. I didn't have this drawn as a range yet. Pushes down and it kind of comes back up. This is when I established this range and I thought, okay, I'm in a range. Look for the highs and ideally short it and look for the lows. But in this case, I was more biased to try to take a long because it looks like it's breaking out of this sideways consolidation to potentially move up. So I was looking more for a favorable trade at the low of this range. And you really don't get it. It starts breaking out, moves down on this transparent channel. And then this is where I kind of drew this as a trend line, trying to match it as a channel. But nothing really sets up nicely. It's a new low, first entry short, pull back. You technically have a second entry short here, but this is just congestion. Got a doji. You got these small candles. Nothing I really want to mess with. I did see one leg down, potentially a second leg. So go ahead and just, oh, didn't mean to do that. So I'm just watching, waiting. It hits this. I'm looking for a bounce, but this isn't a good signal bar. Bounces. Trigger bar is okay. It kind of closes a bit neutral. So I'm actually looking for a first entry long pullback, second entry long, higher low, but I also am aware of the time. So it's really late in the day. So I'm just looking for a potential trade I would have taken if there's a higher low confirmation. You kind of get a higher low here, it does bounce off of here, but it's clearly too late in the day. I'm going to mark it, but I can't take the trade because it's too late in the day. But I may have taken it if this was setting up during earlier regular trading hours. Looks like it would have worked. Pushes up, kind of hits the last 10 minutes of the day, oscillates through some noisy price action and kind of moves into the close. So today's a little bit better than I think yesterday and the day before, but I didn't really see that many setups either. I did take 2 trades. I think this was probably the first 2 trades I've taken this week, and they weren't really. The first one was okay. The second one was a little bit of a push. And I think there was a better trade maybe on this lower high. Excuse me. Actually, it should be a higher low. Higher low, except it's too late in the day for it to form. So kind of how I saw it. Hopefully tomorrow there's a little bit better opportunities. Hopefully that was helpful.